my name is Carrie Caput. We are in Dr. Lee's Communication Campaigns course in Master of Communication Studies program at ASU on the West Campus. And we're excited to present our recycling campaign proposal for the city of Peoria. Joining me today are
Aaliyah Fisher,
Christina Meneses,
Yuki Takahashi. So this is the table of contents we are going to cover today. We are going through these each by each with details, starting with objectives and ending with budget.
So starting with our objectives, our first objective was to increase the waste diverted through recycling in Peoria for the year 2023 to either 30% or 5% more than the diversion rate in 2022. So whichever was greater. And our second objective was to decrease the contamination rate in the city of Peoria to 15% by 2023.
Okay, these are our target publics or audiences we're trying to reach. We have primary publics, which are people who do not recycle, as well as people who do recycle but may not do it correctly, leading to contamination. And our secondary public is school children and families. We did some background research and looked into several research articles and studies. We found that there is a positive correlation between self-efficacy and higher recycling rates. We also found that individuals are going to be more inclined to recycle when it's convenient for them, which also goes for information gathering.
In addition to that, we noticed that using a variety of messaging channels was a benefit to the campaign. So that could be face-to-face, newspapers, flyers, but we noticed that the most beneficial was something that was personal.
So this is what we wanted to find out about Peoria residents. What affects recycling behavior and attitudes? This should give us information about what residents are doing right and where we can make improvements. And also we wanted to find out what media and sources are most likely to be frequently watched and viewed as credible. So knowing the media sources that resonate with residents help us choose effective platforms for promoting it is easy to recycle right Peoria. From our survey, we gained some key findings. So first, 73% of the respondents recycle more than often, and 60% of them rarely or never do recycle. Among all the respondents, the year range of 25 to 34 has the least tendency to recycle. Also, for them, concerns about environment and then future generations are resonating, and those concerns are boosting them to recycle. They are relying on their close people, like their families and friends the most, and also academic and news media sources as well. We found that social media is one of the most common places where they collect or are exposed to information in general. Facebook was the most popular one, and TikTok was the least popular one.
So our primary research findings for attitudes and behaviors, we found that among respondents who said they recycle sometimes, the most cited reason was civic responsibility. And generally, the most important concerns were environmental as well as civic responsibility. Some residents do not have access to recycling, so that's what discourages them. But the two that we want to focus on are some don't perceive themselves as having enough time, and then some simply do not know what they can or cannot recycle. Additionally, when looking at frequency of media use, Facebook was the most frequently cited social media source, followed by Instagram, and local newspapers were found to be a budget-friendly option for traditional media.
So the messages that we wanted to get across to our publics were first, recycling is easier than you may think, and second, that recycling is a civic responsibility to keep the city beautiful. And moving on, we came up with a few different tactics to tackle these. So the first is to get the family involved. So that starts with a day at the ops, which is a tour of the Municipal Operations Center. The idea behind this is that you would open your doors at the Municipal Operations Center and families, student groups, student organizations can all schedule a visit so that they can see what happens when they recycle, where it goes, how it works, and they can just get hands-on. The second was a family education packet, which would be distributed through the Peoria School District. So this would go to children. The packets would include eco-friendly knickknacks like paper or pencils that are already made of recycled newspaper. And it would also include flyers and magnets with recycling do's and don'ts and what you can and can't recycle. And then finally, it would be the after school program, which is kind of a two-parter. So it starts with the library. You would donate some books about recycling to the library. And then through the Y, you can create a student leadership program. In that program, the student would be able to volunteer with the library to read books to the children. The student could create events to clean up their community, and they're passing all of that information along to their families. And the reason that we wanted to target kids as well was because we noticed that in our sample size, there were 74.8% of people who had a child living at home who was 19 years or younger. And this was relevant because we found through our studies that intergenerational influence was something that had a huge impact on recycling. And what this means is that kids essentially teach their parents things that they've learned. So our children at school receiving these packets will take them home and show their parents what they've learned, and the whole family gets involved in recycling.
So among the survey participants who recycled the most, they reported seeing messages from the city about recycling in an average of 2.1 distinct places, whereas those who recycled the least reported seeing messages only in 1.3 places on average. Therefore, it's important to include a strategy for all of Peoria residents, those who do and do not recycle. We recommend that the city partner with getting Arizonans involved in communities. The GAIN event in neighborhoods. The GAIN event is a community event that occurs in October annually. Additionally, we recommend that there be a rewards program that benefits customers who recycle right, and information that is sent in a water bill, a full page color flyer with information on why it's important to recycle and how to do it correctly.
The third strategy we suggest is to increase awareness about recycling among the residents. From some prior studies, we find the degree of elaboration and interest has a strong relation with their decision and action making. For this strategy, 3 concrete tactics can be conducted with social media use. Facebook can target both parties, those who are interested and not interested in recycling. The content should be engaging and active. For instance, you could do live streaming where the audiences are not required to process high-level and thoughtful information, but they just need to be entertained with the contents. But Facebook can be informative as well at the same time, giving detailed information in the visual contents. So it should work to approach to those who are seeking for more serious information as well. Instagram can be used to target those who are not interested in recycling at this point, and we find the consistency of contents is the most important key to make success in approaching to those audiences. Local newspapers should work when targeting those who are already attentive to recycling. The content can be informative, which will boost the targets to get driven even more.
Okay, so we also want to share proper recycling methods to reduce contamination. The first tactic we suggest for this is to expand Peoria's existing recycling violation notice program. The program is already effective, and we found studies that really reinforce that personalized feedback is a very effective tactic. So we just want to emphasize dedicating more time and maybe resources to this. The second tactic is adding instructions onto the lids of recycling bins, including what is and is not recyclable, and any other instructions or suggestions for proper recycling methods. This should be provided as a durable outdoor sticker that can be put on the lids of recycling bins. The last thing we want to do is do social media challenges with the hashtag Recycle Right Peoria. We can offer prompts such as why do you recycle or show us your recycling bin, and Peoria residents will share their photos. And at the end of each challenge, a random winner from whoever uploaded a photo will be picked and given a prize.
Moving on to our timeline, I won't take you all the way through it, but the goal is to start in March, and then you would take a survey March 2023. So March 2022, you would revamp the social media, and that's where you'd start. And ending in March 2023, we would do the evaluations.
Okay, so to evaluate, we do suggest utilizing the Valley Benchmark Cities data to see the amount of change in waste diverted and also in contamination levels. We also recommend you redistribute the survey to learn what specific attitudes may have changed and also what messages from the campaign resonated.
For the budget, we itemized by strategy and included a line item for professional fees for the evaluation by a third party, as well as a contingency fund of 15%. The individual strategies range from a low of 13,500 to a high of 184,000. These tactics taken together should give Peoria residents easy access to information about proper recycling, as well as provide additional increased feedback for citizens who violate contamination rules, and finally allow kids and teens the opportunity to develop and maintain proper recycling habits that they will carry with them as well as share with their families. It is now easier than ever to recycle right Peoria. Thank you, and we welcome your questions.